The next step is to inspect each individual part and to remove any seals. The first part to be inspected will be the air connection fittings. For this section, you need to use a clean cloth to clean off the air connection fittings before inspection. What you're looking for on the air connection fittings are any damage to the seal for the tubes and also any damage to the threads. You must also check for the seal for the threads and ensure no damage has occurred to this part. Do likewise for the other fitting. Again, we check for any damage to the seal for the tube and any damage to the threads or the thread seal. The next parts to be inspected are the tie rods and tie rod nuts. Take the tie rod nut and check the internal threads for any damage. They should be visible inside here. You can also check the socket for any damage here, the 8mm socket. On the tie rod itself, the threads on each end should be checked for any damage. Also, a ruler should be used to check the straightness of the tie rod. Any bends are easily seen. Repeat this procedure for each of the tie rods and nuts. The next part for inspection is the cylinder barrel itself. It's important to clean the inside of this barrel well, as it can highlight rod misalignment. For this you'll need a long white cloth, clean especially. Put the white cloth through one end and push it through. Collect it at the other end and pull through. Reverse the procedure. This should clean out the inside of the barrel. When inspecting the barrel, it's important to hold one end of the barrel up to the light and look through. By doing this, you can see any scratches or scoring on the inside walls. The walls should be shiny and smooth, any scratches indicating metal to metal contact. Next up for inspection is the rear end cap. The first check to make with the rear end cap is to ensure no damage to the outside of the casing. Also check the threads for the air connection port fittings to ensure no damage has occurred. The cushioning adjustment screw is located beside the air connection port. Do not remove or tamper with this screw. By removing the screw, you will break a seal which cannot be replaced. Do not touch this with a screwdriver. The next step is to remove the seals that are present on the end cap. These two seals are the cylinder barrel O-ring and the cushioning seal. To remove these seals, you'll need a seal pick tool. Take care using this tool, as it can damage the seal housings and also can cause injury due to the sharp point. Start off by removing the cylinder barrel O-ring by allowing the seal pick tool to go under the seal and pull it off out of its housing. The cylinder cushioning seal is next. This seal operates in one direction only. It seals in one direction and allows air through the other direction. This is important for the cushioning operation on the cylinder. Because of this, it's vitally important to note the orientation of the seal before you remove it. or when removing it. Put the seal pick tool under the seal and remove it from its housing, ensuring not to damage the seal or housings. This seal has ridges along the circumference of it. On one side it's hard to see any of the ridges. On the other side the ridges are very pronounced, and also a lip exists on this side. It's recommended the side with the lip and the pronounced ridges are put pointing outwards from the end cap. So remember this for when you're reassembling. Also, at this point it's important to check the end cap internally and the seal housings for any damage or scrapes, as these can cause damage to the seals when back in operation. For the front end cap, it's important to follow the same procedure as with the rear end cap. Check the external casing for any damage. Check the threads for the air connection fittings, and do not touch or tamper with the cushioning adjustment screw. The difference between this end cap and the rear end cap is that this has a wiper seal and a piston rod bush. Start off by removing the cylinder barrel O-ring as you did with the rear end cap, and the cushioning seal. It's important to note that with the cushioning seal, it is installed in the same orientation for both end caps, i.e. with the ridges and lip pointing outwards. Check the seal housings for any damage or scrapes. The next part to be removed is the piston rod wiper seal, which is this black seal at the front. Put your seal pick in, being careful not to damage any of the seal housings, and remove the wiper seal. This seal is only installed in one direction also, with a lip on the outside pointing out and a sealing on the inside. Take note of this orientation for when you have to reinstall the seals. At this stage, it's also important to check the piston rod bearing for any wear or cracks just inside, and check the seal housing for the piston rod wiper seal for any damage. The last part to be inspected is the piston rod assembly, as shown. The piston rod assembly consists of the piston rod itself with a threaded end. It also consists of cushioning sleeves, a wear ring, which is the white ring. The dark purpley brown is a magnet, and followed by the piston seal. The first thing we will do to take apart this piston rod assembly is to remove the wear ring. I recommend using a narrow flat blade screwdriver for this, taking care not to damage the wear ring housing as you're doing it. Put the flat blade screwdriver in to open the wear ring up slightly. Take the wear ring by hand and remove it. It should not remove with any difficulty. It's important not to damage the magnet. The magnet will not be removed at this point. Next, use the seal pick tool to remove the piston seal, again taking care not to damage the seal housings. Slide the seal pick in and under the seal and remove. Take the piston seal out and over along the length of the rod. important to remove. The next step is to clean all the grease and lubricant from all this assembly. Take a clean cloth and clean the whole assembly off. It's important to do this as grease can hide some damage, especially in the seal housings. Once all the grease has been removed, the piston is checked for wear on the sides. Any scraping or scoring marks would indicate piston rod misalignment. This should have been highlighted earlier in the cylinder barrel. Check the seal housings and wear ring housings for any damage or scraping. Also check the cushioning sleeves on each side of the piston for any scrapes which would damage the cushioning seal. The magnet is used to activate reed switches. It's important that there's no cracks or chips in this, as this could affect the operation of these switches. So rotate the piston rod assembly as you're inspecting. Next check is the threads at the end of the piston rod to ensure no damage lies there. Check the piston rod length itself for any scratches or damage. The last step is, as with the tie rods, to check for straightness of the piston rod by using a ruler. Rotating the assembly to ensure straightness. Any bends in the rod will show up here.